Bantay knelt by the stream. Water flowed clear. Cold. Easy. He reached down. Let it fill his hand. And stopped. For a moment, he just watched it slip through his fingers. Clean didn't always mean safe. And safe didn't always last. Bantay didn't stay long near the stream. It had been weeks since the collapse. Long enough for the noise of the old world to disappear. Long enough for the roads to be swallowed by silence. But not long enough for him to forget where he was going. North. Always north. Toward the far end of Luzon. Toward Batanes. The stream he found flowed in the opposite direction. Away from where he needed to go. It could keep him alive. But it would also pull him off course. Every step near it was a delay disguised as survival. Bantay moved deeper into the forest. Far enough to disappear. But close enough to return. The balance was always temporary. He set his backpack down carefully. Everything he had left was inside it. Water bottles. Scraps. Things that once seemed useless but now mattered more than ever. He looked at the water he carried. It was not enough. It would never be enough if he stayed in one place too long. If he left this area, he would lose access to it. If he stayed, he would lose time. Survival always demanded a trade. The forest around him was quiet, but not empty. Life still moved near the stream. He returned there and watched instead of rushing. Fish shifted with the current. Insects gathered where the light touched the water. Birds struck without hesitation. Precise. Efficient. No wasted movement. No doubt. Bantay observed them carefully. He did not move at first. He only watched. They did not chase. They waited for the right moment. They positioned themselves where survival became easier, not harder. Water doesn't just keep you alive. It feeds everything that survives beside it. Bantay had already learned where to drink. Now, he needed to learn where to eat. Not all parts of the stream are the same. Some look alive, but hold nothing. Others give everything away. If you know where to look, where the current slows, where water deepens after a bend, where shadows from rocks and roots break the flow, that's where fish wait. And it wasn't just birds. Even the ground hunters knew. They didn't chase the whole stream. They waited where movement narrows, where escape becomes harder. That's when Bantay understood. Don't hunt the water. Control it. He started small. Using stones, he shaped the flow, turning a wide stream into a narrow passage. Fish follow the current. So he gave them a path. One that leads in, but not out. Patience catches more than speed ever will. But fish aren't the only food the stream gives. Under rocks, in the quiet shallows, life hides. Slow, but reliable. They don't run far. They don't fight hard. And when you're hungry, that matters. Even the banks feed you. Fallen fruits, edible plants, insects drawn to moisture. The closer you stay to water, the less you have to chase. He tried fishing, randomly, and failed. Nothing came. The water gave nothing back. He stopped, stayed silent, and watched again. Then he moved differently. Not faster. Not stronger. Just better placed. Later, he had something small. Not enough to call it victory. just enough to call it progress. But progress without preservation meant nothing. He looked at the fish, then at his water, then at the path ahead. None of it would last the way it was. Not if he kept moving. Not if he left this place behind. And that was the problem. If he stayed, he survived longer. If he followed the stream, he survived in the wrong direction. The water flowed away from his real destination. From the north. From his family. From everything he was trying to reach. Staying meant delay. Following meant drift. He realized then that survival was not just about finding resources. It was about controlling what those resources became over time. Without that, everything he gathered would eventually disappear. There was one thing he had avoided since the beginning. One thing he did not want to rely on. Fire. Fire revealed presence. Fire created smoke. Fire told the world where you were. But without it, water would never last. Food wouldn't either. And every step forward would cost him everything he gained. The decision settled in. Avoiding it was no longer an option. He tried to make fire. Again and again. Nothing held. Friction failed. Timing failed. Everything slipped away the moment he tried to control it. He stopped. Breathed slower. Thought differently. He opened his backpack again. His tools. A flashlight from his first scavenging. A dry cell battery. Gum wrappers. Things he once carried without purpose. Until now. He hesitated. Then, an idea. Bantay started working with them. He tore the foil into a thin hourglass shape. Then connected each end to the battery. Careful. Quiet. Adjusting. Connecting. Searching for something that should not have worked but needed to. A spark appeared. Weak at first. Almost nothing. Then again. Then heat. Then flame. Small. Fragile. Alive. Bantay did not react. He protected it instead. Fire was not something to celebrate. It was something to manage. Something to control. Once it became stable enough, he proceeded and dug into the ground, forming two small spaces, and connected them with a small tunnel carved carefully with a stick. One hole for the fire. One hole for air. The fire settled below the surface. Now hidden. The flame became harder to see, but easier to control. Less smoke. Less attention. Safer. Fire was not just fire anymore. It was strategy. He placed a small container of water over it. Watched it change. Still at first. Then small bubbles. Then boiling. What could make him sick before was now safe enough to carry. Safe enough to move with. He turned to the fish. Cooked it slowly. Then learned to preserve what remained. Smoke rising gently. Controlled. Not exposed. Food that would not last forever, but would last longer than before. The forest remained the same, but Bantay no longer moved through it the same way. He returned to the stream again and watched how life moved there. Birds striking precise points. Fish gathering where flow was weakest. Patterns that had always been there, but were now visible to him. They did not waste movement. They did not search randomly. They waited for the moment when survival became easiest. Bantay understood it now. Do not chase. Wait where everything comes to you. He wrote in his notebook before leaving. Water flows where it wants. Not where I need to go. Follow it, and I survive longer. Leave it, and I move forward. Fire makes water last. Fire makes food last as well. North is still the goal. The stream gave him time. But fire made that time his to carry. For the first time since the collapse, survival was no longer tied to staying in one place. It could move with him. It could go north. And so he left again. Not lost. Not waiting. But moving forward with something he did not have before. Control. The forest stayed behind him. And ahead was distance. North was still waiting. And now, he could finally move.